Looks like that encoder is going to be having some problems today. Some tripping. Maybe it's okay. I think we may be good now. I think we might be good now. Again, good morning to you. Thank you so much for tuning in to another edition of Wncr-Tv Now as we talk about things impacting our state, our city, and our nation. It is Thursday, May the 8th, 2 minutes past the 8 o'clock hour this morning. Do hope you are super fantastic. It looks like we are on YouTube Live. We are on Facebook Live as well. I'm going to share the Facebook Live video. Let me see how we do that here. We go here. And we just simply click on share right there. And I'm going to say good Thursday morning. And highlights. Oh. And I'm going to share it to one more page here. Let me see. Right here. Right here. Good morning. Okay. That's interesting. They could do. Okay. So there we go. 3 minutes past 8 o'clock hour this morning on Wncr-Tv Now as we talk about things impacting our state, our city, and our nation this morning. So be sure to share the Facebook Live video. What's happening? Of course, we're still looking for the white smoke to know when the new Pope has been elected. And I guess they're underway again. I guess this is day 2 of that going on. And of course, this is the month of May, and so that means that cities and counties all across this community, all across this state, should I say, are gearing up for their budget. And so we'll be seeing some preliminary budget information from various organizations throughout our state. And particularly, we look at Nash and Edgecombe counties as well as the city of Rocky Mount. Haven't really looked at Nashville budget or Sharpsburg budget or Tarborough's budget, but of course they're going through their process as well. Speaking of Tarboro, they actually have a vacancy on their city council. I don't know when they're planning on filling that vacancy, but an individual did resign from the Tarboro City Council, and so therefore it is leaving a open slot there. And I think we did talk about yesterday that Republican Jefferson Griffin did concede the Supreme Court race and saying that, hey, he's not going to go any further challenges. And so that is good for democracy in our state. The Republican challenger North Carolina Supreme Court seat is conceded last November's election on Wednesday, which was yesterday. The Democrat incumbent Allison Riggs, 2 days after the federal judge ruled potentially thousands of distributed ballots challenged by Jefferson Griffin will remain or shall remain in the final total. And of course, he gave it a 7-day window, giving Griffin the time to appeal it. But he said, hey, he won't do it. He's going to accept the outcome of the election. And I think that certainly is a good thing to do. It's okay to challenge the process. But once that process has been cured and you get it, then you move on at the end of the day, if there were some true discrepancies in the first place. But that's that. And then, of course, today we see on social media, throughout media, that the State Board of Elections will be a new board statewide. And so it's my understanding that the director there will be asked to leave her post. So that's going to be interesting. Hey, caller, good morning on the air.
Good morning, Mr. Brunson.
Good morning.
What I don't understand is why people feel that losing is something that's unacceptable. It's a learning process. So I wouldn't take a loss as a defeat. I would take it as I did something that I didn't know or should have known, and I'm going to move forward with it. So I am so happy to hear after all this time, he decided that he wasn't going to continue to challenge the race. I felt that it was a waste of time, energy, and of course, let's not forget money. So I'm so happy for that. I really am, but I don't look at losing as a permanent defeat. It's always a learning curve for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, certainly, a person who's lost a couple of elections, I would concur with such thoughts there. It is actually a rewarding opportunity for people to engage in a political process, to get your voice heard, and you discuss matters that ordinarily you wouldn't be able to discuss had you not been at the table. And I've seen a number of things happen in this community because of engagement that I have on the front line stood by and advocated for. Now, again, there can be some folks that could be what we consider sore losers. But for me, that hasn't been me. I bounce back and continue to go on and press towards seeing growth and change happen into our community. One of the, I can say a long-term thing that I've been talking about, but certainly been talking about over the years. And of course, people have their own opinions, and we all have our own opinions about things. But the idea of that judicial center moving from Cokie Road to a new location, and I think the last we checked, the city was assembling some land to actually move that judicial center. Then hopefully the next process in that is how do you repurpose that building for community space and perhaps some senior living or a dual space type situation so that it can be beneficial to the community. And in talking to people in the community, how do, if the police department say it makes sense as well, how do you have some type of police annex or substation at that building as well? That from talking to residents who live directly or right around the corner from that place, that is certainly what they would hope to see if and when there's change that is taking place in that community for the judicial center. So that's some conversation has been talked about here recently, but of course there were a number of people who once did show up to the city council meeting room expressing their concern about the event center, not the event center, but about the city spending so many millions of dollars on the construction of a new judicial center in the community. But, that is just something that you kind of need to do. You kind of need to do. And the council is kind of working towards that. Hey, caller, good morning.
What ward is that building?
That's in Ward 3.
Okay. So a lot of questions has been resolved. Put it over there in Ward 3, a police substation.
Oh, yeah, that's something I advocated for a couple of years ago. And that's not my idea. I will say that. That is from talking to residents who they say, hey, I like the idea of the judicial center being there because for them it offered a sense of security. That they had the police there. And so I didn't think about that while I lived down the street from it. I didn't think about that presence to be a help to them. And so, you listen to people at the same time, right? Because you don't have, I'm a person, so I always say don't have all the answers, but a small substation would certainly help them with what they've been accustomed to over the years, as well as strengthen the community by having some community space, which is deprived from community space and opportunity for young people to be engaged. As well as additional affordable housing for seniors. I think you can do all of that in that building.
Okay. And while I have you on the phone, I did call over to Rockefeller High and inquired about reused caps and gowns, but the council hasn't called me back yet, and I don't understand why, because I thought it was a great idea. But nevertheless, maybe they'll implement a program like that where people have no use for their caps and gowns, they can turn them in. And my other question is, does the school make money from the sale of caps and gowns?
I wonder, is it a fundraising opportunity for them? That I don't know. But what did they cost? Like, what was it, $35, something like that? It's been so long since I can't remember.
Oh, my God, it's expensive now.
It's 100, and maybe that's what it was. I just don't remember what it was, to be honest with you.
Well, all those little trinkets and stuff is included. It becomes very expensive.
Okay.
So No, you are not talking about no $30-some anymore.
Now again, this year marks 20 years I done graduated from high school.
Graduated.
So it's been 20. This year marks 20 years I've done graduated from high school. So I don't remember. Okay.
No, you don't see those prices no more. I know when my child graduated, I didn't.
Okay.
But it becomes very expensive, and if a household can't afford a laptop, then they're not going to be able to afford caps and gowns. And what about people with multiple children or family members, graduating the same year? It can get very expensive.
Mm-hmm.
So I wish they would implement that program. And also, a couple of weeks ago, I mentioned that there was changing some of the EBT laws. And I think out in Colorado, they're trying to get them to pass a law whereas people with disabilities, homeless, and the elderly can purchase hot meals from certain restaurants. Currently, there are 9 states that participate in that program. North Carolina is not one of them, but they should. And the states that participate is Arizona, California, Illinois, Maryland, Massachusetts, Michigan, New York, Rhode Island, and Virginia.
Got it.
So how do we lobby for that for North Carolina?
That's a good question. Again, it could be that something the General Assembly did, but it's a federal program. So we had to see how they came about doing that for sure. But some of the states in which you mentioned seem to be controlled under Democratic leadership as well.
Oh, really? Okay. Okay.
But I need to look into that. That is, when you think about hot meals and things, oftentimes some people who are homeless don't have a place to cook a meal.
That's right.
And so if you're giving them a EBT card to buy fresh fruits, vegetables, and raw food material, then where are they going to cook it at versus getting something to eat? So I get it for sure.
And they can do it just like they're doing these new driver's license in order for you to travel. Make a special card or have a symbol on it indicating that, you can use this card to purchase hot meals. And I see nothing wrong with that. I really don't. Because when you see people on the street talking about hungry, why stand out on the street all day like you're hungry when you can, all these restaurants you could go eat?
So that is a state situation to your original question, because it says North Carolina has a waiver in place that allows SNAP recipients to purchase hot food from authorized EBT retailers like some gas stations and deli departments if they are impacted by a disaster and unable to prepare hot meals at home, but it's not the same as the RMP. So to that other point, that it is definitely a state situation that makes them eligible. So the federal government probably says it is what it is, and the states can change that. So that would be with the Department of Health. That's a Governor Stein type situation too. And then I think about it, at least advocating for such. And then if you got to have a General Assembly buy into it, then that's what you got people elected for.
Right. I remember it was some type of hurricane or something that came through North Carolina one year, and they allowed that, and I thought it was great. But if you can do it on an abbreviation basis, my thought is, why can't you do it on a permanent basis?
Absolutely, you can.
And to stop people from standing on the street begging for food. That's one way we can clean up the things that is currently happening. But that's just my speech this morning. But I wish I'm going to look into that. That's one of my goals. I have so many. Someone asked me yesterday, said, I didn't know you was in class. Yes, I am. I say it's something, but nevertheless, I'll talk with you later.
Take care. I think that's a good idea. One thing that's really, I think, that we see more and more, especially down 301 when I'm at the car lot and see a lot of people walking up and down the street with items that for sure they are without a home. We've got so many pressing concerns in Rocky Mount. Don't get me wrong, for certainly we do. But then you got things which we consider low-hanging fruit, right? And that is while it's a great in number, still a small amount of people who are in our community who are certainly homeless. And so at what time is there a multi-government or interfaith or just individual capacity of people collectively coming together and saying, how do we make real transitional housing, get people connected with job placements? Because all those tools are there, but somehow or another they are disconnected. And oftentimes, we talked about this before, those programs that are designed to be temporary in nature, they become long term. And then it creates a vacuum of not having readily available resources for people who find themselves in a situation. Again, I was talking to a person last night and said, I just don't see how people can be homeless when there's so many opportunities. Ultimately, I conclude that part of the conversation by saying, you don't know how a person get to where they're going until you take time yourself to have a conversation with them on the streets. Too often we talk about people, we talk around people, we even try to talk through people, but we never talk to people or with people. And that is some of our greatest issues that we have. And so we try to create all these nice things to do, and that's not truly where the need is. And so the only way to assess what the need is, you truly got to do a conversation and have a conversation of saying, okay, where was it disconnected at? What would help you at this very moment? And too often the very moment is, I need warmth if it's cold outside. I need shelter if it's hot outside. I need food because I'm hungry at the moment. But go beyond that temporary moment and figure out, okay, once you've got those basic necessities, we talked about Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Once you go through those basic food, water, and shelter, how do we get you to the next step on Maslow's pyramid till you get to the highest peak, which is self-actualization? Those are the things that, because then you need social skills and all those other kind of things that goes on. We talked about, showed you that Maslow's pyramid before, so I want to show it to you today. But that's something to think about as well. Let's see here. I want to say good morning to Allison Williams, Deborah Gunter, Irma Maxwell, Ray Daughtry, Melinda Ingram, Gloria Brake, Lucy Boyer, Candy Staten, Alice Bailey, Betty Jenkins, Andre Smalley, James Bullock, Lorraine Pitts, Betty Archambault, Gwendolyn Swain, Lucy Boyer. Say, don't say it too loud. Elon Musk and Doge folks are trying to eliminate the funding. Absolutely. Good morning also to Jacqueline Randolph, as well as John Jordan. What do you listeners think about those being acquitted? Yeah, that was interesting over there in Memphis. Good morning also to Friedrich and Reginald Manning. Yeah, I saw that go through the timeline on social media yesterday, and don't know what the evidence is. I didn't follow the case and why they found him not guilty and what was presented there. I don't know. What I do know is that if our judicial system is fair and all the things were followed, then good. If it's not, if it hadn't been fair, then it's a horrible thing, no matter who the police officers were. If they were wrong, they were wrong. However, if a jury of their peers, with all testimony set before them, have found them to be in compliance with law, then that's the verdict at the end of the day. We've seen it in multiple instances, multiple ways of what juries have found or not found. People, men and women in uniforms for what they are or have done. So that's something to think about too. But yeah, so, I saw that again. Your thoughts on that, of course, John Jordan is asking people about that, if you're familiar with that whole situation again. And I forgot about it until I saw again the post where they were saying all three were found not guilty of that, of the killing of that individual. 252-407-8432. That's 252-407-8432. Isn't it recall to participate in today's conversation? I think I did say congratulations to all the graduates. We see so many people graduating from our community colleges here soon, and also our North Carolina Wesleyan University, who just had a graduation here as well. Congratulations to them, and talking about cap and gowns for the high school students who will be graduating as well, who will go off and hopefully do great things in through their various schools or going straight to jobs or whatever it is they're doing. Congratulations to all those. It looks like North Carolina Wesleyan University graduated 360 students in their 85th commencement ceremony. Again, it took place this past weekend. So congratulations to all of them. And again, we've got so many great opportunities in our community. They were convicted on federal court of killing Tyrell Nichols, but I believe of denying his civil rights. Yeah, those civil rights cases and criminal cases have different standards there, and so that's why, again, we think about the O.J. Simpson case. He was found. They sued him civilly and won, and of course, criminally, he was not found guilty of that. So they, follow two different standards there. But ultimately, that's what they got going on there. Of course, the North Carolina House met on yesterday, and I think I saw where they're not going back into a voting session until May the 12th. May the 12th. And it's just straight from Shelley Willingham. What's it called? Newsletter. I'm trying to think. What is it called? Newsletter that he sends out. I think about every week. It's like the weekly update where he gives what is going on at various places. And we're trying to see. And this is the most recent one, right? Because no. There's another one somewhere. I don't see that one now. But anyway, those who are on his list, he sends those out so you can be abreast. There it is right there. So you can be abreast as to what is going on. Here it is right here. And it was something up here I wasn't talking about. Of course, police, this is, the police chief, Rocky Mount Police Chief Hassel, touts defining choices. The leadership summit for the Rocky Mount Police Chief Robert Hassel recently spoke to a group of males, high school students at Nash Community College who are members of the Village. The Village is for males attending local school systems, high schools, and designed to build young males' social and leadership capital by increasing graduation rates, post-secondary enrollment, and career readiness. And students were assembled at the community college for the program's Infant Potential Leadership Summit. As Hassel said, he was impressed by the young men that he met there. The program was at Nash County Public Schools. And of course, we talked about how North Carolina okays some bills on the powers of the state auditor. So we'll see where that goes. Again, they did draw back from the individual capacity. Remember, we had some conversation about that. And so that was good that they kind of fell back on the other thing and talked about the abuse of power. That I thought could also be there. And it's good that you got some reasonable minded people who can have healthy conversation and kind of rethink their first frame of thought, because no one is always 100% right. And even I could feel some way about something and someone convinced me otherwise, that, hey, I got it wrong, and I'm fine with that too at the end of the day. Good morning also to William Manley. Thank you for tuning in to Wncr-Tv Now as we continue to talk about things impacting our state, our city, and our nation. Now, one thing people have been talking about, we go to national news here at the federal level and the office of the president, in that the money that President Donald Trump may or may not be making with the cryptocurrency coin that he has, and I think they're talking about making another one, and getting paid off the transaction fees. And it was millions, hundreds of millions of dollars that he has allegedly been able to earn because of that coin. And people wanting the Trump coin. And so there are those who are saying, hey, it looks as though he's using the office of the presidency to gain personally. And that's, selling the White House, so to speak. And so there's conversation about that. And I get all of those things, right? I get all of those things. But I think oftentimes we get so sidetracked by a meme coin and the $300 million or whatever it is, that we don't deal with the homeless population in our community, that we don't deal with the mental health crisis that's in our community, that we're still trampling with affordable housing in our community, a number of things that we don't press upon. We got school systems and districts across the state who is going to lose millions of dollars right now because of the current administration and the way they choose to divvy up money. Those things will put some school systems in a crisis, or having local bodies to step up even more, or our state agency through their budget to step up even more. Those are some concerns, and I get it. The president is in office for 4 years, and yes, I get what they do can have lasting impact. I get it 100%. It can, it will, and it has. But at the same time, if we don't work on the issues that we see every single day in our communities, we're going to find ourselves in the same old condition over and over again. So that is something certainly to think about for sure, as to how do we engage in our local community, and if they need help for us to go up to Raleigh or write our congressperson or several congresspeople in the federal government to champion certain ideas of what will make our community better, what will make Rocky Mount better, then let's do that, right? Let's do that. Good morning also to Deborah Manning. And yes, John, we talked about it. Congratulated Allison Riggs on her win there. And I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to play this quick commercial break, and I'll be right back in just a second. So don't you go anywhere. You're watching Wncr-Tv Now.
The trained staff at Promised Land Child Care Center is dedicated to nurturing the growth and development of your children in a safe, caring environment. We are open 24/7 with affordable pricing on full, part-time, and drop-in care. Call Promised Land Child Care today or visit us online to learn more.
ALB Building Company is a full-service general contractor. Big or small, they can handle it all. Renovations, additions, or new construction. Think ALB Building Company. We're available at 919-803-4911. That's 919-803-4911. We're ready to transform your vision into reality. ALB Building Company, 919-803-4911.
Greetings, beloved. I'm Pastor J.T. Worthy of the St. James Missionary Baptist Church of Rocky Mount. Tune in each Saturday morning at 9 a.m. for the word, worship, and witness of the St. James Church in our Great Awakenings broadcast, right here on WNCR-TV.
And welcome back to WNCR-TV Now, as we talk about things impacting our state, our city, and our nation. Good morning also to Stanley Richardson. Saw him in Walmart yesterday. Thank you for tuning in to WNCR-TV Now. But again, there is so many things that we certainly can do to perfect our state, to perfect our community, and we certainly gotta do it. We certainly got to be engaged in the process. I would say, as it relates to that, talking about the town of Tarboro. Looks like town of Tarboro City Council meeting was on Monday. Will be on Monday, rather, May the 12th. And who is it that shared this? Oh, Jean Ricks. Jean Ricks. She came by the restaurant, her and the family on Sunday. Sunday, as a matter of fact. Hey, I'm your Facebook friend. I said, yeah. And so here she is here. She posted the Tarboro agenda. And so the meeting will be called to order by the mayor. They ask you to please turn off cell phones. Invocation, pledge of allegiance, approval of the agenda by the council, presentations by the council as well, requests for petitions for the city. They got 5 minutes time limit per person. That's interesting. Tarboro gives you 5 minutes to speak. And I think Nash County commissioners do too. Town manager recommendation. They got consent items, the approval of minutes from April the 14th, a regular meeting. Tax collector report, budget transfers, action items, the nuisance ordinance, neglected vehicles parking outside the delineated driveways, budget amendments, online utility payment fees, budget amendment MOU, appointments for historic district commission. That's crazy. So I wonder what their nuisance ordinance is about neglected vehicles parking outside of delineated driveways. Other reports would be the town manager's report, proposed budget work sessions for May 19th and the 20th. Then you got the town attorney, I guess, reporting, and council members in this adjournment. That's going to be the town of Tarboro. They do give a little stuff they got going on here. A resolution for appreciating. Oh, yeah, that's the one who was a council person who resigned. So it looks like I guess they're going to have a resolution. I didn't see. Oh, yeah, that was presentation by the council, resolution honoring Councilman John Jenkins. So he's the one that resigned from council because of, I guess, concerns or issues. And so it's a resolution of appreciation for John Jenkins, Ward 5 councilman by the town of the town council of the town of Tarboro. Whereas John Jenkins II became associated with the town of Tarboro in November of 1997 when he was elected to represent Ward 5 on Tarboro City Council. He's been the council person since 1997. Let me see. Whereas John Jenkins served as town council in 1997 until November 2009, and he was reelected on 2013 until April 2025. And whereas Councilman Jenkins has continued through the years to support the council's policies, which has resulted in low taxes, electric rates, water and sewer rates, expanding recreation programming, implementing policies that have resulted in residential, commercial, and industrial growth within the town of Tarboro. And whereas Councilman Jenkins has been a steadfast advocate for historic districts and downtown Tarboro, serving on the Tarboro Historic District Commission from January 2010 until he was reelected to Tarboro Council. Whereas John has sought to promote economic development in Tarboro, having participated in efforts to attract new industry, including the Carolina System Technology, Amazon, and Prudential Pipe. And whereas Councilman Jenkins has been attuned to the special needs of his ward and made him readily available for his constituents. And whereas John has provided a lifetime of service to his hometown of Tarboro through private and public service, that he's left substantial and lasting legacy for the past, present, and future citizens of Tarboro to admire and respect. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the town council of the town of Tarboro hereby extends to John L. Jenkins II both a sincere and heartfelt appreciation for his exemplary service to the citizens of Tarboro, adopted on the 12th day of May 2025, signed by the mayor Tate and Leslie, who is the town clerk. So they'll be voting on that resolution on Monday as well. So again, that leaves a city council seat open there in Tarboro, and so then it'll be up to the city council members to fill that vacancy, and that person would then be in that seat until the next election. Be the next election. So we'll see where that goes as well. And of course, student loans collections restarted on Monday. They started on the 5th. That was Monday, right? Yeah, so student loans, if you got federal student loans, good morning also to Venice Harris. Thank you for tuning in to Wncr-Tv Now as well. Those payments kicked in on this past Monday. Good stuff indeed. So again, heartfelt thoughts and prayers are with Mr. Jenkins, as my understanding is he's maybe dealing with some issues, and so hopefully he will work through those for sure. And on Monday, of course, Nash County Commissioners, they met as it was the first Monday of the month, as well as Edgecombe County Commissioners met as well. We didn't go over their agendas. I did see Nash County's agenda. Let me see what they talked to Angela Dean. Let's see what Nash County had going on the 5th. So they had a public hearing on a road renaming assignment request, driver training lane, a public hearing on a conditional rezoning request on Halifax Storage, rather. You've got a public hearing for fiscal year 2020 Community Development Block Grant. You have a CBG grant. You have the Westmount Fire Department purchase new apparatus, electronic timekeeping and biweekly pay plan proposal. You have a monthly tax report, the tax refund request, the Board of Equalization and Review. You had engineering service contract amendment for Central Nash Water Sewer District. You had a state directed grant for Spring Hope water system improvements. So you had some budget amendments, as well as a audit contract. You had the opioid settlement resolution, the board appointments, as well as commissioner appointments. You had a manager report and then closed session. And they was going to recess the meeting until May the 14th at 6 p.m. at Med Park Building. That's in Rocky Mount for a joint meeting with Nash County Public School Board, Public School of Education, and the community college. And that's they normally do that, where they make their budget request known to Nash County. And so we'll see how those meetings goes and what the school districts may be asking for. By this time, the Nash County school system should have already had their budget proposal already presented to the school board. In fact, I still got to get someone on from Edgecombe County Public Schools, who I told you about. They got a grant where they're going to be building a new school in Edgecombe County. Again, that's going to be, I think, in the Tarboro area or somewhere. I can't remember exactly where it was, but they did get that money for that. So congratulations to Edgecombe County Public Schools for continuing to be innovative. And I think it's going to be a K through 12 school. And so that's going to change the landscape of how students are going to school in Edgecombe, because obviously you normally go to a elementary, then a middle, then a high. And so this is going to be a compacted school. Don't know how it's laid out. I don't know if it's in all one building or it's just going to be 3 different buildings. Traditionally, that's how I kind of see it or had seen it. I don't be in Raleigh like that now, but when I had the daycare center in Wakefield area, Raleigh, there were a number of, there were schools that were basically elementary, middle, then a high school, basically sharing adjoining land, which just made, I think, a whole lot of sense, where you could have all the school population going there, perhaps shared bus systems. I don't know how they work it out, but they work it out with Wake County Public Schools. And I do understand, I think they got $35 million to kind of help with some of their offset that they're going to have. But Wake County Public Schools is $1 billion school system, so they continue to move in high cost. And well, I'll leave that alone for now. I was about to say something else about that, but not that, but something else. But anyway, 252-407-8432. That's 252-407-8432. A lot of people also were getting their RN, the nurses that Edgecombe County Community College has awarded their hard efforts and work to become nurses and helping to keep people healthy as well as possible. Congratulations to all of them too, as I scroll through my timeline and see that today as well. And as I'm scrolling through the timeline, I see food. It made me think about Pop's Diner. Today is hamburger and gravy with sides, and so be sure to check us out there today from 11 a.m. until 6 p.m. That's Sunday through Friday. We're open Sunday through Friday, so we got hamburger and gravy today. We do have Uber Eats back up. Some people have been asking about delivery, and so you can use Uber Eats to have your food delivered. So we do that. We may also sign on with DoorDash, but that's that. Here is who made such a statement. I don't know where this came from. It says a statement on the acquittal of officers of the killing of Tyrell Nichols. I'm heartbroken and outraged by the acquittal of the officers responsible for the brutal killing of Tyrell Nichols. Once again, our justice system has failed to deliver accountability for young black men whose life was stolen by those who were sworn to protect and serve. Tyree was a son, a friend, a human being who cried out for his mother as he was beaten. What happened to him was not just a tragedy. It was a modern day lynching carried out in uniform. And today's verdict is yet another reminder of how deeply broken our system remains. Justice should not depend on a badge someone wears or the color of someone's skin. It should be rooted in truth, dignity, and the value of human life. We cannot build safe communities without accountability, and we cannot build trust without justice. I continue to stand with Tyree's family and the people of Memphis and every community crying out for real change. We must never grow numb to this pain, and we must continue fighting for the future, where no mother has to bury their child at the hands of police violence. um, 1999 to 2023. 1993, wasn't it? Why just see? Screwed up. 1993. Yeah, 1993. Wow. America. That's all I can say as it relates to that. But again, I didn't hear the trial. And at the same time, I certainly will be a firm believer that I don't know at any time should a person who is in custody of a police officer, if they're in custody and the police officer end up losing their life. That I just don't get, and perhaps never will get. But it does speak to the, when things like that happen, of course, you hear the conversation about more training. Well, at what point are you trained enough? What point are you trained enough to deal with that? So the jury found 3 former Memphis officers not guilty on all charges, as well as lesser charges they could have been convicted of. And so I will say that obviously those individuals had their case heard before a jury. The evidence was presented, and the evidence was presented in a way that the jurors found those individuals to be justified in their actions. So I don't know all the merits of the case. I wasn't there. But obviously, they got to hear it all. Hey, caller, good morning.
What I don't get is people walking around with a gun on the hip. I still don't understand why. I'm not a candidate of it. I don't feel that people should. It's just so distracting. What you looking for? Why you got to wear a gun? Who want to harm you? Go to war. Go on over there and fight them countries that you can use a gun. But I just don't get it. And I said it once before. I'll say it again. You will not enter my property with a gun on your hip. Ain't nothing here to harm you. If you're coming to harm me, you don't need a gun. Mm-hmm. You can just knock me down.
I got you.
But I just don't see it. And you know what? Can elected officials carry guns?
Well, anybody can carry guns.
Tim Buzz is going to run for Ward 3. He always have a gun on his hip, so he can walk in the chamber with a gun.
No, he won't be able to walk in the chamber with a gun. He can carry a gun up to that point. And unless Tim Barnes gets on council, if he was to win, and then to say, I think we should change the fact that we should be able to carry guns, at least for our councilman, right? So he can advocate for that. I don't know where that would go, but so that would be interesting.
No, I'm not. I very seldomly go down there, but nevertheless,
yeah,
I am not going to that city council with somebody other than a police officer, and I question him with a gun on the hip.
Yeah.
And I don't see why Tim Barnes would want to run for a public officer knowing that he have a gun. I really don't. To me, it's looking for trouble.
So you said his gun would be a disqualifier?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. What's the word? I keep asking the question, why are you carrying a gun on your hip? What you looking for?
Gotcha.
It means that I want to harm someone. Don't get stressed out and have those flashbacks, because I'd be caught in the midst of it. So I just don't feel that people should carry guns. I really don't.
I got
it.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I want to go over this Edgecombe County agenda from this past Monday as well. And that meeting started at 6 p.m. and as approved minutes from the previous meeting, had a public hearing to discuss the substantial amendments for the 2025 annual action plan for the home funds, the Down East Home Consortium. Then there was a public hearing 2, proposed case 25 SAR renaming a street, Barfield Lane. There was public petitions. Then there was scheduled appointments, recognition of the second graduating class of Edgecombe Works Office Academy. Then there was a regular Board of Commissioner meetings and reconvened as a Board of Equalization Review. Then there was to recess the Board of Equalization Review until May 21st, and then reconvene as a regular Board of Commissioner meeting. Other business included budget amendments, consideration to approve of the Town of Tarboro fireworks application, consideration to approve a resolution recognizing May as Older American Month, consideration of amending the county personnel policy and granting leave for community service, consideration of amending a comprehensive plan to add LPA Clerk 2 and 3, Deputy Social Service Director positions, and approving county administrative officer job description. Consideration to approve resolution opposed to NC House Bill 765, an act to reform local government development regulation. Oh, yeah, we talked about this bill a little bit. I'll open that bill up in just a second. Let me copy this. I won't forget. I'll remember it. Considerations to approve resolution recognizing the clerks of the Board of Commissioners as this week from May the 4th through the 10th. Consideration of amending the Health Department fee schedule for environmental services. A consideration to approve the Health Department's bad debt write-offs. Consideration approving allocation for HCCBG funding. And then they had appointments or reappointments for the Human Service Board, athletes and relists, a review and approval, contracts review and approval, department reports. Then they gave a manager's report. Then it was commissioner's report. Then the attorney report. Then closed session had one pursuant to economic development, another being personnel. And then there was adjournment. Look at this. This is a disclaimer on their thing. It says the county of Edgecombe holds all public meetings in accessible rooms. Any individual with a disability that needs an interpreter or other auxiliary aids or service for this meeting should call the county clerk's office at 252-641-7834 voice or email the clerk at publiccomments@edgecombeco.com at least 48 hours before the scheduled meeting. They are accommodating to persons with disabilities, and right there on their agenda. That's pretty cool. I would say Edgecombe County is certainly a pretty cool little county, and proud to be a resident of it. In fact, a lifelong resident of Edgecombe County. Let's see, NC House Bill 765, and I guess that probably made the crossover line. But this bill, if I'm remembering correctly, was the bill that pretty much said that they had to approve something within like 30 days or 90 days or some mess like that. Let me look at it again. It says an act to reform local government development regulations in the state and increase the national pollutant discharge and elimination general stormwater permit fees. And so, where is this? Let me get this phone call while I skim over this too. Hey, caller, good morning.
That's just a lie, Mr. Bronx, because that courthouse got all those steps and they don't have a handicap ramp.
Oh, no.
How you gonna get them that come out there with two deputies to take me up the steps?
Oh, no, that's for the town administrative building.
Okay, well, yeah. I look at it like this. If you have American with Disability Act and you are a public entity, this should even be addressed. Everything should also be in place. Should already be in place, I'm sorry. So that's one organization that I feel that we overlook. Maybe because I do have a disability, but they make it very difficult for people with disabilities to access anything. Take, for instance, going to the grocery store. All them shelves and what you need is on the top shelf. Mm-hmm. And you're in a mobility scooter. Come on. I don't get it. Why don't they have those little grabbles available so people can reach up and get things from top shelf? And like I said, I was on the Disability Act board here in Rocky Mount. I came off of it simply because I felt that they wasn't doing enough to advocate for Rocky Mount to have accessible things that people need. I feel that every store should have mobility scooters, not a wheelchair, because you're touching the floor with the wheelchair unless it's motorized. There's a lot of things that I see that we could benefit from. But until you address it, nobody does anything. And if you address it, they still don't. There are numerous stores I have gone into, like Hobby Lobby, Rural King. Those big stores, you got to try to get around in them. And if you have a physical or other disability, it's very hard to do that. I do a lot of online shopping, and I don't have to be worried to death. But I know the Tarboro, the city or the town of Tarboro, that courthouse is a mess trying to get into it. You got about 30 steps you got to try to climb up. So they need to work on that. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm trying to see. I see it passed the first reading. Then it went to the adopted favorable substitute. Went back to calendar. Withdrawn from committee. So it might have died in committee. Because I forget if it has to. Is it just past the first? I forget what that crossover deadline is. I got to go back and figure that one out. But anyway, what that Bill 765 is doing or will do is one thing that some people have a heartburn about is this. I just had it, so I'm going to go back and locate it again. And it was a time periods in which local governments must act and respond. Well, then, and I went to the other page, and now it's so they put a whole paragraph in. Oh, here it is. Time period for approval. Within 14 calendar days of filing an application for development approval, a local government or its designated administrative staff, as described in a General Statute 160D 402, shall determine whether the application is complete and notify the applicant of the application's completeness. And 2, if the local government or its designated administrative staff determines the application is incomplete, specify all the deficiencies in the notice to the applicant. The applicant may file an amended application or supplemental information to cure the deficiency identified by the local government or its designated administrative staff for completeness review, which has to be completed within 14 calendar days after receiving the amendment application or supplemental application for the applicant. Upon the day the application is deemed complete, the local government or its designated administrative staff shall issue a receipt letter or electronic response stating that the application is complete and that the 90-day calendar review period has started as of that date. The local government shall approve or deny the application within 90 days of the date of the application was deemed complete by the local government or its designated administrative staff, except if the applicant requests a continuance on the application. The review period shall be told for the duration of the continuance. The time period for review may be extended only by agreement with the applicant if the application cannot be reviewed with the specific time limitations due to circumstances beyond the control of local government. The extension shall not exceed 6 months. Failure of the local government or its designated administrative staff to act before the expiration of the time period allowed for review shall constitute an approval of the application, and the local government shall issue written notice upon demand by the applicant. So it say, listen, if and when this piece of legislation passed, you got 90 days to approve whatever it is. They can be done with sitting on construction, sitting on development. You got 90 whole calendar days to do it. And after such 90 days is an automatic approval. And you got 14 days to determine whether or not the application is complete. So that's what's happening in North Carolina, or at least attempting to happen in North Carolina with getting developed. Because sometimes I will say this, that development oftentimes is hindered because of time. of approvals, going through this, doing this, and all of this stuff. Sometimes I think that just justify that you need so many people within an organization, and that may very well be true. I don't work there, so I understand all the things they go through. But I do know on the other side is that there are so many developers who become frustrated with the length of time and the process in which it takes. And so they've gone and had measures in their own hands and got people elected across the state to at least have one individual produce a piece of legislation with House Bill 765. It calls to Save America's Dream Act is what it's called. And this legislation has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 people who are sponsors of this legislation. And when I look at, and again, it was in committee last, and so not quite sure where it is. There was actually no votes taken on this, and so it may not have gone anywhere. Maybe gone. So I got to look at that situation. It's passed the first reading, but I think it has to pass 3. Let's look over that crossover date. What does it actually mean? Again, because I don't forgot. Crossover deadline in NC. Okay. That's just telling me what they did. I want to know, what does a bill have to do to make the crossover deadline? Somebody probably find it before I will, and that's great if you do. So, yeah, that's crazy. All these stories showing this week's crossover deadline no decline is a reference to the cutoff date set by the House and Senate. Okay. With few examples, the only policy of the bills remain viable for at least the rest of the 2-year session. The bills are passed by either the House or the Senate by Thursday. Both chambers are expected to be extremely busy. So then it has to be passed by either the House or the Senate. And so it don't look like that particular bill was passed by the House. So I would say, because the last thing was in committee, while it passed the first reading. So I got to define what passing is, and maybe that's sufficient. So I got to look that up some more there. But again, Edgecombe County was in opposition of it as of their Monday's resolution there. So I'm not sure what goes on there. What I'll probably do is call a representative, right, and get there. If it won't 9 o'clock, I would do that right now. So I'll see you tomorrow to do it all over again on Wncr-Tv Now. Don't forget Pop's Diner from 11 till 6, where we talk about things impacting our state, our city, and our nation. So we'll see you tomorrow to talk about those things and some more. And make it a great day. And for those who have not heard, of course, I'm running again for city council.